There is a saying, successful diplomacy is an alignment of objectives and means. Pakistan has been facing critical challenges at the foreign fronts. How should Pakistan's new government align its objective and means to cater such challenges, gaining maximum without losing something? To discuss geopolitical challenges for Pakistan, today we have with us a veteran diplomat, Ambassador Abdul Basit. He served Pakistan's High Commissioner to India and he is now President at Islamabad Policy Research Institute. You have served in India at a very crucial time, especially with regards to the arrest of Indian spy, Commander Kulbhushan Yadav. How did you deal with the situation in India at that time?
So thank you very much for having me. First of all, Kulbhushan Yadav, as you know, he is not simply a spy, but also he is considered as one who was involved in many subversive activities in Pakistan, and he has been financing all those activities, especially in Balochistan and Karachi. When we caught him, there was obviously an uproar in India that how come Pakistan arrested him and then now he is being put on trial. So it was a difficult situation for me, but I remember going to the press club in New Delhi in April, in the month of April. Now I do not exactly remember the date. But that was the month, and while addressing the press conference, I did say that Kulbhushan Yadav was not alone. After his arrest, we had arrested over 400 operatives inside Pakistan on the basis of information given to us by him. So his involvement is beyond a shadow of doubt, and he will be put on trial. So, but I received, a lot of criticism as to how the High Commissioner is saying this without any evidence, without any proof. But I stood my ground, frankly speaking, because I personally thought, and as was I was briefed by Pakistan as well, that there are serious charges against him, and he would be put on trial. And this also is testament to India's involvement in Pakistan, in indulging in activities which states should not be indulging in. So I think it was a tough time, but I think I managed it overall very well, in the sense that I put across our viewpoint, I went to the media, I held press conferences, and just to...
But the Indian media was very critical to you at that time.
It was obviously, that was understood, but my job was to put our perspective across the table. I could have, kind of sat in my office doing nothing. That was one option, but I thought my country, my state requires me at this point in time to put across our views and put them forcefully with conviction. I remember I was interviewed by very renowned Indian journalists, and I was confident that Pakistan, this catch was a big catch for us, and we can exploit it or show to the world. But unfortunately, here in Pakistan, we could not manage that the way we should have. You remember that the ex-Prime Minister even did not mention his name in his UNGA address.
Sir, since war is not an option between India and Pakistan, and India seems to be least interested in talks with Pakistan, how Pakistan should respond to this situation?
Towards patient diplomacy. I know for a fact that even if tomorrow you resume the dialogue process between our two countries, you are not going to get anything concrete when it comes to core questions, especially the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. Forget about Siachen or Sar Creek or other issues or water problems between our two countries. India at this point in time under Prime Minister Modi is not willing to engage Pakistan in substantive discussions. You would know that in December 2015, both our countries, when External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was on a visit to Pakistan to attend the Heartland Summit, the foreign ministerial meeting on Afghanistan. Both the countries, Pakistan and India, we agreed on a framework for talks. But since then, that has been, we have not been able to resume the dialogue process. And then you have elections next year in India. And I can say with confidence that Prime Minister Modi's or BJP's strategy is to not to engage with Pakistan, keep its atrocities on in Indian-held Kashmir, so that allows them to consolidate the Hindu vote behind the BJP. So that is the strategy they will pursue. Once elections are held in India, then we will see what happens.
Why should Pakistan exercise strategic patience, as you mentioned in your reply, with regards to dialogue with India and especially normalcy in relations with United States?
Look, as far as India is concerned, we do want to normalize our relations with India because we understand that it will accrue huge benefits for all of us, for the region as a whole. But the question is, you can't normalize this relationship unless you are willing to resolve the problems, the disputes which our two countries have. India, unfortunately, is not willing. So long as it is not willing, there is no point to be engaging, in any kind of a dialogue with India. So we need to show patience. Kashmir struggle is on. So our effort should be to highlight the Kashmir struggle and the atrocities which are there. And that should be we should be kind of, diplomatically very aggressive in the world to show to the world, to expose India as to what its true face is when it comes to Indian-held Kashmir. As far as US is concerned, I think in diplomacy we need to create win-win situations. There is no either-or template in diplomacy. I often hear in Pakistan people suggesting that, okay, you just, have good relations, strategic partnership with China, forget about US. That is not how things work. US will continue to be a big power. It has an important role to play, both in the region and beyond. So we need to cultivate a good relationship with the US. I understand there are many differences, especially on Afghanistan and then India's role in the region and beyond. Be that as it may, those differences will remain there, but we have many commonalities as well. For example, terrorism and counter-terrorism, and in Afghanistan we can find a modus vivendi where we can agree on and work together for bringing about stability in that country.
Yes, Afghanistan has become a strategic liability as American security priority will now be competing with China and Russia rather than terrorism. What are Pakistan's options then?
I have always, been contending, arguing that Afghanistan dilemma can be addressed by two ways. First, if US is serious, sincere about bringing about peace in Afghanistan, it needs to engage directly with the Taliban. I am glad that now they have started that process. Their last meeting was held in Qatar about 2 weeks ago. So important is that this process should be continued. Second, I think the Taliban demand that US forces, all international forces should leave Afghanistan. Only then can they become part of the political process. And I think this demand is not totally unjustified. So I think what Pakistan needs to do is to work with China, with Russia, with Iran, in order to keep pressing on the US not to disrupt this bilateral engagement with the Taliban, and then try to build a kind of support to this process, and also keep pushing the Taliban that they should not be leaving this process halfway through as they had done in the past, or the Americans had done in the past by targeting Taliban leadership. So I think we all need to understand, and some people would argue that Americans are not willing to leave this region, as you mentioned, because they have their strategic interest to be present in the near abroad of China and Russia. And then Afghanistan itself is a resource-rich country. For example, rare earth metals they are available in Afghanistan in enormous quantity. So there will be a kind of big power game here somehow. But it is in our interest that Afghanistan becomes peaceful, becomes stable, because peace and stability in Pakistan, for that, peace in Afghanistan is a kind of sine qua non. Without peace in Afghanistan, we cannot think of realizing our economic potential. And then regional integration, cooperation, all these things hinge on peace in Afghanistan.
So, sir, Indo-US nexus appears to be a consistent headache for Pakistan. How should Pakistan respond to the maneuvering at international forums?
No, I think, first of all, we have our own strengths vis-a-vis the US. US may be promoting India as a counterpoise to China, but we have our own strengths. And I think it needs active diplomacy, not vis-a-vis the US and in the US. For example, you have a very active diaspora in the US. We have not been able to mobilize and channelize. And then we need active diplomacy in the US itself, reaching out to think tanks, reaching out to media, reaching out to Congress, pressure groups there. And to that happen, we need to understand the American system as well. And then there are huge economic activities, opportunities in Pakistan. So we have not been able to exploit the potential which Pakistan-US relationship has. So if we work methodically, systematically, with clear objectives, I think we can achieve wonders vis-a-vis the US, because you find many pockets in the US which are very sympathetic towards Pakistan. They want to have a good relationship with us. It's just a matter of organizing ourselves here, both in the short to medium and medium to long term.
So my question is that, do you think that the US sanction on Iran will have implications on Pakistan?
Oh yes, definitely. I think it will have some implications, especially our project or IP pipeline project, gas pipeline project. And then, many of though we do not have a very huge bilateral trade with Iran, which is unfortunate because it's our neighboring country. And I remember at one point in time, Iran used to be our largest trading partner, but now that is unfortunately gone. This would have impact not only Pakistani relations, but I think Iran's relations with all the countries. For example, the other day, Mercedes-Benz, they stopped building their manufacturing plant in Iran because they feared that if they continue with that, sanctions may be imposed on that corporation, multinational. So I think there would be some impact, but at this point in time, since we do not import much from Iran, our relationship is mostly at the political level. So I do not see that economic impact on us at this point.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us today, Ambassador Basit.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Diplomacy can and will matter. Little is inevitable in international relations. Pakistan should not concede to the US or India on any of its core national interests, such as independence from Indian hegemony, credible nuclear and conventional deterrence, a fair solution for Jammu and Kashmir, and a friendly Afghanistan. This is all from the real world. Keep watching dbtv.live. Take care.